that was a moment that's going to define the next years of my life and my business ventures, because it's about helping people. It's about a team. It's about collaboration, but it also needs to be about me defining what success looks like and setting tangible goals and not being afraid to put those out there and risk failure, risk rejection, risk disappointment, and just stand up and take it and risk it and go for it.
Welcome to MetaVerse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrels navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride.
Back again in the podcast home studios with Jason. Jason, it's good to see you, sir.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba. What's up, brother?
was that the McDonald's jingle?
No, it was just something just off the top of my head. It was supposed to be Jimmy Fallon's, no, Jimmy Kimmel and Jerry Seinfeld, and I guess and McDonald's. It was like a trifecta going on in my head.
A mashup, is that what the kids call it nowadays? Oh, yes, man, sir. It's good to see you. I've had a busy morning. I had a radio interview with my friend Shelly Irwin at WGVU earlier. I had a breakfast meeting with Brian Atkinson, my Clean Comedy Time partner. Man, lots happening.
Dude, first of all, I don't think as many people know the stuff the footprint that you have, dude, and influence that you have in your area, bro. You know, it's cool with the comedy festival, with just with the Clean Comedy Time, with the radio, with the business people. You are the man, my brother.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And it's hey, look at this. Look at this. Everybody listening, the unemployed alcoholic drink coaster. All right. So, it's funny because where that came from is not having opportunities and not wanting to fight through the list of people to say, come on, give me a spot on the show. What me and Brian and other folks did is started creating opportunities, creating value that other people could tag in with, instead of going to people and saying, hey, can you do this for me?
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is the foundation of greatness right there. It's not waiting. There's this saying, it's not a Bible verse, but God hits a moving target.
You know,
a lot of times, but the verse that I think of is just one of the lazy verses.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what, man, the lazy man desires and has nothing, but the diligent will be fed. And it's this idea of like, hey, if you're going to be diligent, that's making opportunities when you don't have any.
Yeah.
Look, and then like this. Go ahead.
Oh, and then what happens too is once that opportunity is born, once that thing, that entity takes shape, it takes on a life of its own. Like we've talked about that on this podcast. And then you get multiple of these things coming together and happening and growing. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, things are happening. Things are coming together.
Right. And then what happens? People start coming to you saying, can you put me on? You like, dude, I'm still trying to put myself on.
Right. It's funny. I talked to a guy who was involved in a $1 billion company, and he was talking about it, and he said, it's funny because to go from $500 million or $500 million to $1 billion, it just kind of happens. Now, I don't want to understate that because there's so much work, but like it just happens,
billions.
right, right. But what he was saying is you get all these different initiatives going, and you get people that own those initiatives, and then growth is an organic function. It happens, and I I can see that. So basically, what I'm saying is, the $500 million annual growth in our companies that should be doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Easy schmeezy.
Yeah. So how are you doing, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing well. Man, just excited about life and new ventures. Challenged.
Mm,
It's dude, my just a little report on my emailing system. It was
yeah.
I was doing a radio show, well, a clubhouse show that has a radio show format. And as I'm on talking, I just so happened to pull up my email, and I was like, an email. I sent out an email saying that I was going live on this show,
Hmm.
but I didn't send the email.
Oh. Oh.
I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing." I'm working and don't even know that I'm working. I'm turning my half a billion into a
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, yeah.
dude. It was, man, it was so cool. And then to get unsolicited unsolicited encouragement, just to get people coming up to me saying, "Hey, I got your email,
Yeah.
man. You killing it." I like, I am. Hey,
That's
yeah, you getting my emails.
yeah. So
So
so it sounds like the new addition to your team is working out well, huh?
listen, not only that, but here's what happens. So now I brought that person on to my staff meeting. So every Tuesday, 2 o'clock, is the Jason Earls Productions staff meeting. So it's only three of us on the call. Got two people who are on the staff.
Uh,
But then I brought in, introduced Candace with Standard Branding on. And I said, okay, Candace, let the team know what you're going to be doing or what you're doing. She started telling them. My other two team members start saying, oh, yeah. So now we can do this. Remember
yeah.
2 years ago, we took notes about this, but we had to pay
Yeah.
for it. Now we can do this. In fact, you need this form. Here's the form that we created. Jason, here's a list of all your
Oh
YouTube
yeah.
videos that we took. And I was like, oh, we are moving.
Oh, dude, that's man, that's what it's about. That's a $500 million to $1 billion right there.
And now that freed me up to say, oh, I've got this course that I've been sitting on. Now it's time for me to go ahead
Mm,
and pull the trigger on that stuff. Talk about movement or compounding interest, baby.
yeah, yeah. Wow, man. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, for one thing, to go through what you've been going through, to redefine yourself, redefine this business entity that is Jason Earls Productions, like that's just such a difficult thing to do. And to do it and to be, not on the other side of it, but to be able to see the light, and
Yeah.
the benefit. Man, that is spectacular, dude.
You
Spectacular.
know, I can imagine, man, you know, one of the Ford brothers, like, the car's moving. It's moving.
Yeah,
It's moving.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
It's moving. Snap.
Oh my goodness, this is working. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, and that's that entrepreneurial journey, where it's like you get these moments where it's like, yes, on top of the world, things are happening. It's great. And then there's other moments where it's like, ooh, man, what am I
Right.
doing?
What were we thinking?
Right, right. Wow. But that's cool. It's cool to connect with you, with both of us, feeling pretty good right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit of pollen stuff, so my nose is slightly running. I got this sinus stuff, so
It's
forgive me if
you,
you see the
you
white
need
piece of
that. You need that. That gives you that little bit of rasp to your voice, like a
right.
great vocalist.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Boy, this has been this. Okay, I'm going to say the same thing I say every week. This has been a wild week, dude.
Hey, baby, we talking metaverse. you know,
Right, right,
yeah, it's the one day is like it's not like the Lord, like 1,000 days to the Lord is one to us. Well, 1,000 years is like a day to the Lord.
right.
But but the metaverse is like, I don't know, maybe a year or two in 1 week.
Yeah,
Something like that.
that's about like it. Like if I were to equate this pace back to like serving as a marketing manager of a company, it's probably 1 week is probably equivalent to what would happen in like a quarter.
Yeah,
Maybe a month, 2 months, but about a quarter. Each week feels like a quarter,
no doubt.
which is neat. Especially to look back over the week and say, okay, what happened this week? And a lot happened this week. So Friday, last time we recorded, we ended our recording with you laying something out there that resonated with me all week. And just, it was my focal point. And you were talking about how sometimes we can put helping other people ahead of our own interests to the point where um, we end up hiding and not risking failure and not risking pain from our own things. Does it? I didn't say that
Yep.
nearly as eloquently as you did. I've been thinking about it all week. Wrong. No.
No, right. That's not what I meant. You got
Do overseas.
you clearly blew it. I
Right.
was saying.
Yeah, yeah. But dude, that concept of, yeah, man, it's important to help people, but when I'm helping people, I might actually be hiding myself. Mm.
Mm-mm.
And and then and then a lot happened this week in the metaverse. The
But
yeah,
can
yeah,
I
yeah,
pause
yeah.
you there?
Please do.
When I said that, and those who are listening to this, you probably missed it. But those who watching video, dude, when I said it, dude, I saw it on your face. I was like, that punched him in the gut like it did me.
It sure did.
Dude, your countenance shifted. You went to this place of deep thought and just I could tell. I was like, all right,
Ooh,
we
yeah.
just need
I mean, and
to
and that was typically we do this for about an hour. That was like
Yeah.
an hour and 20 minutes into recording, and then that came out. Like that was that was a moment. That was a moment that's going to define the next years of my life and my
Mhm.
business ventures, because it's about helping people. It's about a team. It's about collaboration, but it also needs to be about me defining what success looks like and setting tangible goals and not being afraid to put those out there and risk failure, risk rejection, risk disappointment, and just stand up and take it and risk it and go for it. Yeah. Oh
Too funny.
man, but so and then listen to this. So another thing happened this week. I mentioned my friend Pete Brand and how he and
Yeah.
I and a handful of people have been starting down this process of kind of entrepreneurial coaching.
Right.
And he and I met one on one, and the whole focus of that meeting, before he didn't know that we had that conversation. He didn't know how that rocked my world and my overall perception. But the whole focus of that conversation was to get me to say what I want to achieve by January 2023. Like that was the whole. And
Wow.
and by the way, it took, even after being jarred by you on Friday, even after a couple of other things that happened, even an hour into talking with him, with that being his primary goal, it still was so hard to say, how do I define success and what does that mean? Oh, but I did it.
And that's thank God for
Oh
people
yeah.
and having friends to really hold your feet to the fire and coming up with that stuff, because everything in you, well, not everything, but this huge psychological part of you, like I said last week, has been telling us that we're not supposed to
Mhm.
be as successful as we really want to and ought to be. So the moment that we start doing that, man, our brain starts to shut down. It's like, and not a brain, but just that part of our psyche, like, stand down, stand down,
Stand down.
mayday,
Yeah,
mayday,
yeah.
man overboard, man overboard.
Danger. Yeah.
Right, right. They're trying to reboot the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, you just nailed it. Our brain telling us, or it's more than our brain. Like you said, our whole being telling us that we're not supposed to be as successful as we want to be.
Mm, 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 mm.
Man.
Yeah, brother. And that's when we start getting uncomfortable. We start feeling insecure because I had a friend well, I have a few friends who are pilots. And when one of my friends was going through his training, they put him through this simulation, and they said that once they train you, then there's a point when you're flying a plane where you can't see anything.
Mm,
And because you can't see and you going like that at that rapid speed, your instinct is telling you to do one
mm,
thing, but you can't trust your instinct because your body feels like, oh snap, we need to go left, we need to go
yeah.
left, and you can't do that. You just got to do what's instilled what your training says. And they said, man, almost like you got to put your hands underneath your bottom,
Oh yeah.
like sit on your hands in
Yeah.
a sense. They call it flying by the seat of your
That's
pants.
is that what that
Yeah, it's like you can't see, you don't know what to do, but you just know that this is what you're
so
supposed to do.
I never I mean I've used that phrase a billion times, probably not a billion times, but I've used that phrase a lot of times, flying by the seat of
Half a
your,
billion.
yeah, half a billion. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a callback. Like, this man is a professional. Don't try this at home. Yeah. So I've used that expression to fly by the seat of your pants, but I didn't know that that's what it meant. Like, not being able to see and then tucking your hands underneath your seat.
Yep.
Wow.
And just doing what you know to
Wow,
do.
that's wild. Yeah, yeah, because and Marines, man, who was it that said? I want to say it was Simon Sinek, but one of those super smart dudes said that he studied out Marines and their training, and they will like they're the reason that they train so intensely and so heavily is that in a time of chaos in a time of panic, you will revert to your lowest level of training. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and yeah,
that's good. Did I tell you about True North last
uh,
week? This is a concept that has messed me up over the last 2 weeks, man. So, and this is in the nautical space in sailing. You have two types of north: magnetic north and true north. Magnetic north is what our compasses are set to, and it's based off of the magnetic force in the earth. So the thing is, when you're sailing on the water, you can be looking at your compass that says north, but based off of the gravitational pull or the rotation of the earth and all its core shifting, magnetic north
mm,
shifts. But true north is set off of the Earth axis, the North Pole, excuse me, the North Pole, that does not
Okay.
change. So true north doesn't change, magnetic north does. So if you're sailing and you're looking at your compass based off of the rotation and time of day, magnetic north
Mm.
shifts. So you could be going north looking at your
Mhm.
calendar, but based off of the
Uh-huh.
winds and everything, the way that the world is
Mm.
turning, you can be going northwest and wind up off. But the way that you get to true north is by
Mm.
celestial navigation. Celestial navigation is when you pick a point in the sky, a star in the space, out in celestial world, a star, and you use that
Mm.
fixed point to sail to find true north. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I got a Bible
Yeah,
verse for that."
that's right. Yeah.
Because man, the world turns, the world shifts. There's certain things that our emotional pool
Yeah, yeah.
changes, man, and we can be heading towards one direction, but based off of how we
Mhm.
feeling, how we're thinking this day, our influences that are
Yeah.
in the world, we could be heading northwest because our
Yeah.
compass has changed.
Yeah.
But Colossians tells us to think on things above.
Ah,
And so if you can fix your mind on things above, thinking things that are heavenly, then you will continue to navigate to that
yeah.
true north.
Yeah.
That stuff. Think of the pure things, the things that
Right,
don't
right.
change.
Man. And, you know, it'd be easy to
So
take that. It'd be easy for me to hear that and digest that and translate it to, you know what? I shouldn't be setting goals for my own gain and my own self because that's gonna be magnet. But that ain't it.
that's not that's not true
Yeah,
north though, because
yeah,
you
yeah.
change. The idea of, about setting goals for your own self, your own benefit. Here's one thing that my team helped me
Mhm,
realize. They're like, Jason, you say that you're not about money and you're not money hungry, but you're saying you don't want your rate to be up here because of what that could potentially say financially. But it's here. It's not
yeah,
at
right,
zero
right,
dollars.
right. Yeah, yeah. Where's the line?
Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
right, you do have
yeah,
financial
yeah,
goals that you're reaching for. So what's stopping you from
yeah,
setting them
yeah.
here? I was like,
Good on your team, you know? Man, that good on your team. And you're right, like, that's yeah, it's a way to block the risk. It's not
yeah.
always the principle that we think it is. You know, I wanna do things to help people, or I don't wanna fail.
And somehow I think most of us Jesus following people we have good intentions, but I think somehow we've let a misquote of certain
Mm,
verses manipulate us into a certain thinking
mhm,
and having a and more of an impoverished mindset because we've seen the people who may talk money
mhm,
become a little bit like sleazeball or creeps,
mhm,
and then people who aren't that way may misquote this verse. They would misquote the verse and say, "The love of money is the root of all evil,"
right,
and we automatically misquote it saying the love that money is the root of all
right,
evil,
right,
and that's not what the verse says.
right,
The verse doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says loving it is.
right,
So you can plan for it, you can use it, you can earn a lot of it
mhm,
and still have pure heart, pure ways, and not be corrupt.
yeah, yeah, and it can't take priority. You know,
Right.
as soon as you're willing to sacrifice relationships, the health of other people, and things like that in order to get money. Now it's flipped around, and it's the love of money,
Right.
like that. As soon as you're willing to um, sell people out, as soon as you're willing to hurt people in order to get money, then it's changed. But
Right.
you don't have to. It's just like comedy. On the radio interview this morning, she said, "Oh, I don't want to say it, but what about Chris Rock and Will Smith? Are you scared? Are you scared to tell jokes that might hurt somebody?" And I said, there's a lot that's funny that doesn't have to hurt people. So we can go after laughs without. This is a definite tangent here, but we can go after those laughs. We can try to share those laughs without expensing other people, without throwing other people under the bus, without hurting other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And money, and that's the thing. Like, my goal, like what I'm trying to do right now, is I want to transition the Soapstone Comedy Club into a profitable and sustainable business. And that sounds all good, but Pete ran me through the ringer, and he's like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
And there's two components to it. I want this to be a team adventure. So building the team isn't necessarily a means to the end. Building the team is the end.
Right.
I want to build a team for the purpose of having a team. Um, but so and then to be successful, to be profitable, to be sustainable. So it's about building that team, but it's about defining it. And you saw that we created a Soapstone Directors
Yeah.
Facebook group this week. And these are people, as I really started thinking about this adventure, who are the people that are directing this ship? Who are the people that are playing the most influential role in the success or failure of this business? And then we formed that group, and it's a cool group, man. It's a good group of folks.
It is. And it's the excuse me, the care and the in which you hear people communicating in that group. It's amazing. It's like, hey, it's you hear a lot of selflessness talk.
Mm.
It's like in every when everybody's talking about, hey, okay, here's what I do, it's almost like comes with affirmations of other people. It's so cool.
It, everybody in that group is after something much bigger and much more than money.
Right.
Everybody, which I guess you'd expect that because there ain't no money yet.
That's when the money shows up, that's when you really see.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But all of these people are after something bigger. But much in this conversation that we've been having, and this conversation I had with Pete, I wanted to float out into that group. Okay, this is what success means to me. This is what I want to achieve through a financial window by on a monthly basis by January 2023. How does that fit with what you all want to achieve? And people chimed in. There was a wide range of responses, huh?
Right. It was.
Yeah.
And again, but the great thing is because money wasn't the focus, that you've had we've had months of just honing in what we do well
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what we bring to the table. So then now that we've been doing certain things, like what is it that you do? What is it that you how is it that you see this fitting into your ultimate goals?
Yeah. Yeah. That um and and one of the people in the group threw that out there. I said, "Hey, I've got this group created," and then I just kind of left it. And he threw it out. He's like, "Hey, I think it would be appropriate for us all to do introductions," and then that
Yeah.
set that ball rolling, where everybody got to take a minute to examine. What do I do? What am I bringing to this group? And then throw it out there. And it was beautiful.
Absolutely. One thing one person said was, and I need to pull this up because it was just talk about leadership principle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope I still have it open, and it's not. But let me see if I can find. But I'll tell you the gist of what she said. She was taught. She learned in the corporate world that when a leader, like great leadership, everybody's defined. A great leader understands the strengths
Yeah.
of others, and once as a team, everyone's strengths are defined, then a next level of leadership is looking at that team's weaknesses,
Yeah.
document those, and then work to fix those weaknesses, to cover those weaknesses. I'm like, you better go, girl. I forgot
Yeah.
who that was that said that.
I'll tell you, I know exactly the comment that you're talking about. And I talked to that person last night for like about 45 minutes. And because when I read that, like the little part of me, the little defensive part of me was like, ooh, are they saying something's wrong? Are they saying that if I were a real leader, I would be doing this? And man, that's just insecurity. And talk to that person about it, and to see what they meant. And the way you read it is the way that they intended it. The way you read
Yeah,
it, like, hey, as we continue this, let's look at ourselves and see where we're lacking as far as skill sets, and try to find those skill sets, not try to find people, like not try to say, okay, let's plug one person in, let's fill a body, but to really continue to build the team out based on missing skill sets. And oof, it's good.
dude. So I like to just shout you out because you did what you just said happened. You did that for me last week.
Hmm.
Everybody listening. So what you got to know about this conversation with Aaron and I is it's not scripted. We If we talk outside of this podcast, we try to limit. Like, okay, well, let's stop.
Yeah.
Let's not like, oh, that's too good. Let's stop and let's discover where that leads on the podcast. So, but then afterwards, there's something personal that I've been there's this opportunity, let's say it like that I may have that's a little bit on the low right now. It's not necessarily public information. And so I told Aaron about it. He got excited. So last week when he asked me about it, I told him about a conversation I had with someone. And in the conversation of a leader that's involved with this opportunity, the leader said something that I took the wrong way. I took it like, man, maybe this opportunity is dead.
Mm.
And when I told you about it, you simply said, and you as a friend, you recognize that was coming out of my insecurities.
Mm.
And you're like, yeah, you could, it could mean that, or it could mean just, I forgot what you said exactly, but it was like, it probably didn't mean what you think it meant.
Mm.
And I was like, you know what? You're right. I just needed to vent that to somebody and for somebody to redirect me. And I hung up the phone last week. It's like, that doggone Aaron's a mature man. That took maturity to listen and to say, no, I'm not siding with you, Jason. Yeah,
Yeah.
you misheard that one.
Ooh, boy, I didn't even really think about it from that perspective. But I'm not siding with you, Jason. Like, man, it is important to have people that are not yes men, or not just going to reinforce us for everything, you know.
Absolutely.
And oh man, you're right. That person's a bad person, and not that that's what
Right.
you're saying, but yeah, to be it, and that's why, like, man, these conversations, the conversation I had with the other person from that group, these are important conversations to be able to vocalize some of the emotional responses that we're having, and then
Yeah,
and then just get a, a second opinion on it.
absolutely.
Because I'll tell you, because if you don't, if I didn't do that, I might have forgotten about it and moved on to other things, but it would have always been there. Like, is that person what is that person's intentions and meaning? I would always be questioning that.
Absolutely.
And the same with your situation. It just would have been there it would have been a burr under the saddle, just there irritating. But to come to conclusion and say, you know what, I'm okay with this. Uh, that's wow.
Yeah, I never forget when I was teaching, dude. I started teaching right after grad school, so I was young, 23, 24 years old, teaching, super wet behind the ears. And at one particular school, they made me department chairman, which was, why would they do that? So it was a small department, so only 3 teachers. And man, one of the teachers, I could look back, hopefully, and they would say I led well. I think I did. I didn't have an ego with my leadership and empowered my team. And I would always bring decisions to them, like, here's something that the powers of be have said. And one particular meeting we were having, somehow it got rumored. I don't know how it got rumored that the principal made this certain call. And the other teacher she was like, wait a minute. And she picked up the phone and called the principal. She was like, I don't like that. And she called the principal. And at first I was like, yo, like, let's be a little bit diplomatic about it. She's like, I'm diplomatic. And she was like, Miss Such and Such, we've heard that. Is that true? She's like, not exactly, but thanks for calling me. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah. Then the teacher said, she knows if I have an issue, I'm going to call her. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to call her
Mm,
directly. I was like,
mm,
lesson learned from this young boy. If I have a problem with somebody, I don't need to bicker with my other fellow comrades and employees. Like, just go straight to the source.
yeah,
That's what we talked about
yeah,
a
yeah.
few podcasts ago. There's a
That's
biblical
right.
standard
That's
with
right.
that as well.
Yeah, yeah. And we've put that out there. I mean, obviously, one of the things in the soapstone that I've been trying to do is, uh, as much as possible, move away from a drama-driven culture.
Yes, sir.
You know, to get the taking of sides, the bickering, the the adrenaline pumping of, man, this person is wrong, to try to get away from that as much as possible. And man, it's not just a soapstone issue. It's a metaverse issue. It's an internet issue. It's a person issue.
It's a
it
humanity issue.
it absolutely is. But and also it comes at great cost. The cost to move away from drama is
Yeah.
substantial. Like, we in this last week, we have lost many people that were major players in the soapstone and regular attenders and people that were involved.
Wow.
That's a huge cost, not just from a manpower perspective, but from a
Yeah.
relationship perspective. Like, these are people that are my
Right.
friends, and and they're hurt because of changes that were made. They're hurt because of moving away from some drama, and they decide, I don't want anything to do
Yeah.
with it anymore. And you know, I I, I hate that.
Yeah. But I think, what do you do if you've tried to paint the right picture and people have somehow decided to believe whatever it is they wanted to believe or see it from a certain perspective. At the end of the day, man, after you've tried, there's only so much you can do. You know, one of my friends' dad, who's a mayor, he said he was feeling bad because he couldn't help certain people in the city. Like he did, he was trying and he fed people and but didn't help everybody. He said his secretary said to him, "After you've done all you could do, you've done all you could do."
Mhm. Or another little bit of wisdom called the Serenity Prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
it's amazing how much, yeah, how that is applicable to so many things in life.
yeah, it
Yeah,
it, it really
it's
is.
so funny.
Yeah.
I was somewhere in a meeting and something happened, and I thought about you praying that. I was like, there it is, right there. But
Well,
and
did
ultimately,
you
I think
accidentally stumble into an AA meeting? Because
no, it was actually at a church
yeah.
meeting. It was
Oh,
yeah, it was
same
funny.
same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Same thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but it's like then hopefully some people come back around.
yeah. People
Some
will
people
come
realize
back
like, you know
around.
what, I was tripping.
Yeah. Well, and again, like the nature of drama is it's always more dramatic feeling than it actually is.
Right.
So if something is dramatic, there's a possibility that there might be some separation. There might be a little bit of time that goes by, and then there might be a recognition of, oh, you know what? You weren't burning the place down. You were just making some changes.
Right.
So we'll see. But
Well, sometimes
anybody who happens to be listening to this, if you have ever been engaged with the soapstone and left for any reason, man, you're welcome back at any point in time. We need you.
indeed. Or they might come back and say, instead of saying you weren't trying to burn the place down, you were just trying to make changes, or you were just making changes. Or they could come back and say, you know what? He's not. He's not stupid. He's just crazy.
That's yeah.
That's
And they were. I mean, these are crazy changes. Like
yeah.
probably the biggest thing is the decision to take the policing of the room out of the out of my team's hands and put it in the hands of all the people in the room. That's
So is that why some people left?
oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely. You know,
hey,
and not all of them, like some of them were like, "Ooh, this was my power. I don't have it. I'm going to take my ball and go home." Some people were like that, but most of the people were like, "Man, I was part of the family. I was part of the team, and you knocked everything down, and now I'm just an outsider." And that hurts, and I get it. And I wish I could have communicated that better, but we're in this underwater bubble in the metaverse where you can communicate like with one person at a time, and there's hundreds of people that this impacted. And through the Facebook group I can communicate with some people, but not enough. And so there were
yeah,
people that just
but
got legitimately hurt through that process.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, I would say it's the same thing. It's I would say if grow up, people. If if you felt like part of the family because you had power, then you really weren't part of the family.
And
In
if
other
that's what
words,
if that's all it takes for to leave the family, if that's all it takes to leave the family,
yeah,
then so be it.
because you were just using the family
Yeah,
to get your own validation by having power over people. And it's easily you hide that under the auspices of family,
yeah.
feeling like a part.
And
That's the
and by the way, we should be very clear here. I don't have any individual in my mind. I'm not
I don't even know
right.
about I
You
don't
don't
even know
even know.
about it. So I get to take all the shots I want to
Right, right.
because I have zero
Yeah.
clue.
So
Like
if anybody's hearing this and thinking, "Ooh, they're talking about this person," we're not. We're talking about a whole group
we're
of
talking
people.
about you actually.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
If
part of
you're
the
listening,
problem.
you're part of the problem. Man, it's good to be able to touch on some of these deep, painful emotional issues and then release that tension with a little bit of laughter. Oh, that's healthy and good.
Absolutely. It's always good when you see that in movies. Like it'll be so tense, and then or TV shows they come with this comic relief. You're like, oh snap, that was amazing.
That's right. It's valuable. Yeah, this has been a big week. There's been
So what's the? Well, I know you can't talk about the plan. I don't even know what the plan is, but man, just kudos to you for leaning into that conviction that you felt when I said that about
mm,
just hiding
yeah,
behind helping. Lean into it, and yeah, it's and now we're seeing the fruit of it.
yeah, yeah,
And so maybe somebody else, or maybe it's a different thing. But when you get that jolt, that drop kick by Jesus,
yeah. Which incidentally is
you
the
know
name
that
of my
full
next
Nelson,
book. No,
yeah, that full Nelson man is just like, oh snap, like do something about it.
yeah, yeah. That's well, we talked about this guy before, Claire DeGraff, in his book. You've only got 10 seconds. Uh, Man, when there's something that you have a burning desire on, you got to do it quick.
Yeah,
It's just got to happen because if we hit pause, if we overthink it, then we're going to miss the window to do it.
right.
And there was like
Absolutely.
I can't explain everything on why I felt like I needed to transfer that power. But I mean, there were a lot of things. It there are a lot of little things, but my gut was telling me we got to readjust the way this power dynamic works.
Yeah,
It's not right. And man, what we're going to, the system that we're going to, man, that's a flawed, painful system. It's not like the other way was wrong and this way is right. 10 out of 10 times. No, it's both things suck, and one is just the right way to be terrible.
yeah. But the other one is you're right. It's one way is making everybody pick up, pull up their big boy, big girl pants.
Right.
It's like I was in the room and a dude just empty room, and dude just started just dropping, dropping some f bombs on the stage,
Yeah.
and it was like, and then he said, then he threw one race joke, and I was like, yo, bro, like not in a harsh way, like yo, the rules, man, the rules, bro.
Right. Right.
And then
Yeah.
he recognized that, and he's like, f them doggone rules, and jumped off the stage.
Right.
But he
Which
stayed, and we hung out and
yeah.
talked.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I'm fine with that. If they're like, F them rules, I'm not complying, I'm out of here. That's fine. But it's cool, better that though he stayed and you got a chance to
Yeah, he
just,
stayed, and we just chopped it up. Like,
that's
yo, it's
cool.
not. It ain't. I don't have an issue with you. I'm not even mad. I've been saying, yo, the rules are the rules, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's what I tell my kids. Just like, hey, we got our house standards.
Yeah.
Nothing against you. Nothing. It's just house standards, and I had to recognize that about my dad. Like I love playing spades and dominoes, and there's this phrase in both of
Dominoes?
those
Oh,
games:
yeah.
house rules.
Oh, house rules. Oh, I thought you were talking about the phrase that usually is accompanied when the domino hits the table just so
Oh,
hard that everything goes flying. But then, but one of them phrases that wouldn't be allowed in the soapstone.
yeah. So it's like, if I'm gonna play spades at somebody else's house, I gotta go by their rules.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
weird as I think the rule might be, and don't like that rule, if I'm playing in their house, I gotta put. They come to my house play spades. It's my rules.
yep,
And the same thing with life, man. If I'm gonna do comedy at a deal and I violate one of the rules, be okay with being called out by it.
yeah,
Nobody hates you. It's just a
yep,
house rule.
yep, yeah, and that's still though. I mean, I got a call, or I got my messenger. I was online. I've changed my. I've put up some boundaries to where I took all social media and messenger and everything off of my phone, so that if I'm in the office, I've got access to it, and if I'm not in the office, I've got separation from it.
Ooh, that's
Oof,
good, bro.
oof, yeah, that. And I'll tell you, I knew that that's what I needed to do, because with my finger on the delete button, I'm getting all shaky, and
Right.
I'm like, okay, all right, this is the right thing to do.
Right.
But last night I was in the office kind of late, and so I've got access to Messenger, and it starts blowing up with a guy that's in the soapstone, and he's like, "Man, you got to get in here right now. It's off the rails. You got to come in and do something." I'm like, "What? I don't have any power that you don't have."
Right.
Like, if you're in there and you're witnessing this, you got to report it to Horizon. You got to it's just a button. Just
Yeah.
press the button. It's so much harder for you to look through the nose hole of your headset and then try to text me, like, and I can't do anything about it. So it's
It's like it's burning. So is the soapstone literally on fire?
right.
Or is they
Are people's lives in danger?
right?
Like,
Are people getting shot in
yeah,
the
yeah.
in soapstone?
If so, I'm assuming I'm your second call, and
Right.
911 was your first. Yeah,
That's funny.
and again, like these, like the people that are falling into that, it's a mindset shift. Since we started, what we've been telling people is, listen, we have people that are here to keep this a safe place to laugh. And now we're saying it's on you to keep this
Right.
a safe place to laugh. And that's a big transition. You can't train people that, okay, what you do is you call on this person for help, and then all of a sudden take that person away and be mad that they are struggling with what to do.
Yeah.
So,
So good. So good, brother. The
yeah.
growth of the metaverse and how it affects the growth of real life human beings.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't know why that was an ominous.
Right. Probably because my voice was
That's
starting
right. Yeah. Yeah. Growth in the metaverse means a whole lot more than numbers.
to absolutely. There is a man.
I need my friend Xavier Strong in here. Boy, he's got
He could
that
do
voice.
that.
Oh,
That
so
stuff
good.
is amazing.
Yeah, he's great.
What happens
Yeah,
when a man gets a job and it's taken away from him?
right,
I can't
right.
do that. That stuff is amazing. The people who can.
I got to see him last night, actually, in the soapstone, and he's one of those, like, he's one of my first friends in the soapstone, and like he's just, man, I got so much respect for him and admiration for him, and I don't see him that often in there. But so last night I got to hang out with him for a little bit out by the fire, and just kind of cut it up and talk, and it's so cool.
So good.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Well, so we're one of the things that came up this week is Mr. Zuckerberg flipped the switch partway on monetization. So the metaverse is now in the very early steps of being a monetized place. So what that means is we can sell things in the world, and people can do in-app purchases. So that's a really the timing of that's pretty neat. As unrelated to that, as all this stuff comes together to say, hey, Aaron, you gotta be concrete about what you want to achieve financially, and then all of a sudden, one of the big pieces uh, comes into play. So what's next? I've got this idea of by 2023, January 2023, what I want a monthly like net revenue to be out of this thing. And now the next step is to start looking at the different value creation centers and figure out how to piece that map together to get there. Part of it's through Clean Comedy Time. Part of it's through booking live shows and doing that. Some of it might be through speaking engagements, but some of it might be by bringing virtual reality to comedians, and some of that might be through business consulting that maybe you and I have an opportunity to do with people, and some of that will be through shows and merchandise and stuff through the metaverse. So I don't know exactly what's next, but I know figuring out what's next is what's next. Speaking
Yeah.
of that, let's wrap this up for the
That's
week,
the
dude.
process, baby. Welcome to the well metaverse.
Yeah. Cue the music.
Right. Stay tuned to see what's next, because we have no idea.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.